Okay, so I went down to the service center. They're looking at the rear hatch on my car. It's not, the automatic lift is not working. So they're going to have to keep it overnight and do some diagnostic work. So it's over the weekend. So guess what they gave me? Guess what showed up? They gave me a Model S. Now, granted, it's a 2014. It's a 2014, so it's been ancient. It has 112,000 miles on it. But I mean, this is cool. I mean, I get to try out a different Tesla, different than the one I have. I have Model Y. So I get to try it out and see what's different. And actually, I think this car is pretty acceptable as a second car anyway. I haven't quite figured out what kind of mileage I actually get out of it. It looks like it's around 200 miles. So that's not great, but you know, since I use my Model Y for trips, I don't really need to use this for a trip. I wonder if they would sell it. Okay, here I am in the Red Lotus, as it's called. I charged up last night to 90%, and here it is the next morning, about 10, about 10 o'clock. It's down to 87%. So I'm guessing it loses a little charge over a period of time. So we'll keep an eye on it as much as we can. Okay, so I guess this is going to be kind of flashing. It shows flashing on my phone. So I just wanted to visit my friends down in Steiner Ranch. What can I say? So since last charge, so that's basically trip A, same thing. 93 miles round trip with 279 watt hours per mile. So actually, that's not bad at all. And 26 kilowatt hours consumed. So, what do I want to say about it? It appears like when I first started out, like it was using a lot of energy to start. And, you know, maybe I compare it to my Model Y and my Model Y. So, in my Model Y, I don't really have a gauge to show me the power I'm using. There is a gray bar, and you can see it getting bigger and smaller, but I never look at it. And the reason I never look at it is because over in the panel in the center, I don't have a driver's dash. In this car, I do have a driver's dash, which is totally awesome. So yes, I'm not completely ready to go. I mean, I drive Model Y, so I'm doing minimalist interior, so to speak, but whatever. So at first I was going like, yeah, it's using a lot of energy. So I guess it feels like it's using a lot of energy to get started, but I tell you what, if you get on the flat and you're just cruising, not changing your speed, that indicator drops down, I guess, under 100 kilowatts. Anyway, so the energy being used just to maintain speed at a cruising speed is very low, and I love it. So I did do a couple of hard accelerations. So one time going around a corner, I accelerated a bit, and yes, the rear popped out a little bit. Totally awesome, loved it. I haven't done that with Model Y. I'm sure Model Y has capability, but this car definitely has that capability. And then once in a straight line, not even really trying really hard, just accelerating a little bit, and you could hear the wheels kind of break loose just a little bit. And nobody was upset by it because I had some friends in the car. They all went, okay, yeah, it's just Ray being Ray, so no big deal. So from that perspective, so far, I love it. I mean, yes, are the controls different? Yeah, they are, but the shifter stock is still the shifter stock. The turn signal stock is still the turn signal stock. There is more windshield wiper controls, but it's consistent with previous cars I've had. And there is a cruise control thing that's kind of interesting, but that's okay. Anyway. Okay, guys, here I am in this Model S loaner car. So I just charged it to, well, I set it to go to 100%. It cut off at 96%. So I'm, it is an old car, so the last 4% may be difficult to reach, which is fine. But here you go, 96%, which translates to, by the estimate, 235 miles. Now, that doesn't sound great compared to my Model Y, but when I looked up the estimate on Google, it came back with somewhere between 240 and 260 miles for a brand new Model S, or 2014 anyway. So if that's true, that in 2014 they would have guessed it'd only go to 140, 260 miles, that didn't lose hardly anything. Now, I'm not sure that's accurate, so I wouldn't take that in full faith. But, 230 miles is pretty reasonable for driving around. And even if I was road tripping, I'm not going to have the car to be able to try it, but I think I could probably road trip this car with 230 miles. Because I was stopping for charging stops at around 140 when I went to San Diego. So that would work. Anyway, whatever. Not bad for a 8-year-old car with 112,000 miles on it. Anyway. Okay, so what do we have here? Current trip, 21 miles. I just drove to Jonestown back. The charge was at 96%, and it wouldn't be good to leave it at quite that high a level, so I burned it off down tonight. Well, it's at 88% now. So anyway, 21 miles, took 31 minutes, okay? And the average energy is 257 watt hours per mile. And it took 5 kilowatt hours. 5 kilowatt hours. So, this is actually pretty decent. Anyway. Okay, so I searched around in the menu, and it looks like this has a large rear induction motor, implying that there's not a front motor, which is interesting. Definitely it accelerates fast, so it's not like it's a slouch, even with just a rear motor. So, I could live with this. Okay, so this is me sitting in the car. I definitely have plenty of feet room. I have plenty of headroom. I have plenty of shoulder room. This is a kind of wide car. Compared to the Model Y, it's not a lot wider, but it's wider enough that you feel just a little bit more spacious. So that part's cool. I love it. Anyway, this is just actually a decent car for an 8-year-old car that has 112,000 miles on it. I think it's pretty good. Okay, so here I am in the back seat behind me. So there's enough room here for my legs. Has decent space above my head. So I'm 5'11", and a little extra. But I could sit back here for a while. I wouldn't want to do a long trip like this, but it's okay. So, but this, for an 8-year-old car, this is pretty good. And here's the trunk behind the back seats. This is a big space compared to my Model Y. I'm kind of stunned, actually. I'm guessing it's probably 5 or 6 inches difference, maybe 8, but it just feels so much bigger. Okay, so fitting a mattress in is not quite the same as the Model Y. Actually, width-wise, there's just a little bit more space, but because the rear seats don't fold flat to the same height as the trunk area, there's a spot in there where it's going to rise. And just beyond the seats, there's an open spot where the mattress kind of hangs down. So it's going to take some work if I were to do this. I mean, it's not quite as good as the Model Y in that respect, but definitely you could put something underneath this side and you can figure out something on the other side and it'll work out. Anyway, yeah, if you wanted to use this for a overnight cruiser and sleep in the car, very possible. Okay, so wow, I just opened up the front. Man, look at this space. This is huge. And it even goes back in there. Holy cow. Man, I could put a lot of luggage up here in the front. Anyway, I'm astounded. Okay, I better throw in two more side notes. So a friend of mine said that she used to have a Model S. I think it's even a P85 from around the same year. Her warning in general was, once you start getting up around this age, you should expect that possibly the battery life will kind of collapse. I don't think this car is in that category, but it is a fair warning. And so the other thing is, I'm just under 6 feet tall, so I'm 5'11", 5'11" 3/4 actually. Anyway, so with this car being, it's in the normal ride height, I think it is. So it's kind of low, and the roof's kind of low. So it does take some work to bend down to get into the car. So if you're somebody who doesn't handle that well, this car's not for you. I mean, it's worked for me, but for me to pay off getting in the car, it's well worth it. Kind of like getting a sports car, right? Sports car is a little bit cramped usually. I mean, not all are, but it's hard to get into. So if you're, just be warned, don't order online unless you've tried getting in one. Okay. Okay, so summary of opinions. So first we'll start with Ray. So Ray's opinion is the battery appears to be pretty reasonable. I mean, it only charged up 96%, but sometimes there's BMS issues that get resolved if you drain to 0 and charge back to 100, then everything gets level set. And I'm guessing nobody's charged this up to 100% in a long time. I mean, I did try to charge it to 100% last night, but whatever. It indicates it has about 240 miles of range. So even if I only get 2/3 of that, that's more than sufficient, right? I mean, I normally want to stop once an hour. With the Model Y, I was actually running a little bit longer than that. But you know, when you're in that situation, you're trying to get from charging stop to charging stop. So anyway, battery performance I'm okay with, or good with actually. Engine performance seems pretty reasonable. I might be a little worried about whether or not is it getting a little less efficient, but then again, it's an 8-year-old car, so maybe for the standards of that time, the engine's perfectly good. I don't have experience in that place, but at a reasonable price, okay. I mean, it'll work. I mean, worst case, you have to replace the engine. I mean, yeah, it's going to cost money, but otherwise it's fine. Okay, so that's that. The seats. Well, the seats are either real leather or they're very close to real leather. They are a little bit worn, but that's okay. The paint is chipped in a few places. The car has been scraped and rubbed a little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit. Enough where if I wanted to look good, I'd probably wrap it just to have it look good. The windshield does have a couple of chips in it, but they don't bother me a lot. I mean, I don't even see them really, so that's good. The controls, I'm sure at the time this car was built, was their interpretation of somewhat minimalist compared to the 2022 Model Y. But, you know, I can work with them. I figured out the cruise control just by playing with it. The windshield wiper I haven't had to use, but it's pretty obvious. High beams, easy enough. It's auto headlights, so it's that part's all normal from a Tesla perspective. The shifting stock, although it's in a slightly different place, works exactly the same way from my perspective. So all that is good. The trunk space, wow. It blew me away when I opened the back. And I got an even bigger surprise when I opened the front. Oh my goodness, that front is huge. So that's all good. The sunroof actually, well, it attempted to open. I don't know if it would. It surprised me that it opened. I hit the wrong button or something. I don't know. So I didn't try to open it all the way, but I'm guessing it's technically able to, or it was designed to. So that's cool. What else can I say about this car? I mean, I think I've already mentioned that cruising down the road, oh, so smooth. Oh, I love it. So I think it has air suspension, actually. There's 4 different settings in height. I'm not sure what I'd use that for unless I put on some rally wheels and suspension and stuff like that. But, I mean, it's just rear-wheel drive, so I'm not sure that would work out too well. But anyway, what else can I say about this? I've mentioned that. So when it comes to charging stops, I like watching YouTube at the charging stops. This doesn't have YouTube. Is the car able to support YouTube? I have a feeling it probably should be able to. I'd have to ask for it if I got this car. And if it didn't, well, it's not the end of the world. I mean, it's not. If I were to get this car, it's not meant as my primary trip car, or that'd be my Model Y. Obviously, because it's new, I have more confidence in driving it long distance. Although I don't know why anybody would not have confidence in driving this. I mean, it's just old, that's all. So that part's all good. So from the rate perspective, yes, it's a buy. Okay, so from a Natalie perspective, well, Natalie's really disappointed that this car does not have karaoke. Now, karaoke may be in the same category of all I have to do is ask for it and download it, right? So maybe that's possible. So that's karaoke. She was happy that the mission mode was there. And with this car being shorter, so I was carrying on my shoulders. I put her down on the trunk lid just to get her off and without, throwing her around. And once she was there, she started crawling up on top of the roof. So she's found a new feature on this car that she likes. So, I mean, that's cool. So from my friend's perspective, oh, she loves the trunk. When I showed her how big that trunk was, oh yeah, I gotta have that. Oh yeah. So I mean, but she doesn't want to spend $105,000 for a car. So we still have to go look at the Model 3 and see how that trunk looks. But anyway, so if the price was right, this car is a buy. I mean, if you're looking for a similar thing, 2014, so that's 8 years old, 2014 Model S. I mean, it's a beautiful car. It's like any other old luxury car. I mean, maybe I should say like a Mercedes or something like that, where the quality went in when they built it, and it's still there to some extent. So, I mean, that's definitely a go. So, I think that's what you would really want to know from me. The thing I'm struggling with is when I look online, the Model S's I see that are in this category are just around or just above $25,000. So that's a bit more than I would want to spend for an 8-year-old used car. Now, maybe that's reasonable. I don't know. I mean, if I stole this car for $10,000, oh, I'd be happy. I'd be laughing but 10,000 be robbing them. If I got it for 20,000, that sounds like a way below reasonable price, but would be somewhat fair on both sides. I just don't want to spend 20,000, but if I had that option, yeah, for this car, yes, I think I would buy it. For another car, I know I'd have to try it out, right? You'd have to try it out for a day or so just to see. But there you go. I mean, if you have an opportunity at a reasonable price to buy one of these things and you feel somewhat confident the battery works well, I would buy it. I mean, for 25,000, what are you competing with? A brand new Chevy Bolt? Okay, it's brand new. The charging speed is what, 50 kilowatts? That's not very good. I think there's some other new cars that are in that category, but I mean, if I could go 200 miles on a charge, I tend to charge at 80%, so that just to help preserve the battery life. But this car would fit that bill well. But anyway, there you go. There's my opinion. I can't tell you how much I've loved the opportunity to have this car. I mean, it's actually great. All right. Good luck in figuring what you're going to buy.